Alright, so you are expected to be really good with creating equations. So this is page 14 of the summer packet for practice with writing equations. Something that you may not be super familiar with is point slope form, this right here. So if you haven't used this in a while, you definitely need to know this thing right here. Of course, we're still going to use slope intercept, the y equals mx plus b, quite a bit in the course, but slope intercept isn't always what you're going to see as a choice on an AP exam. Just as a reminder, like where this equation comes from, remember slope is just the rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you cross multiply this and just bring the x2 minus x1 multiplied to the other side and just rename x2 as x and y2 as just y, that's really where this comes from. So in order to figure out 28a, it says find the point slope equation of the line. So what you're given a slope of 3 and you're given a point 2 comma negative 1. Well, this is actually super duper easy to do because all you have to do is just plug in right to this formula. So it'd be y minus a negative 1, or just plus 1, equals m, which is the 3, and then x minus 2, and you're done. I know that doesn't look like it should be a final answer on a test, but it definitely will count for credit as a final answer on a test. And then if like a multiple choice insists that you get to solving for y, then you could just take this, add 1 to the other side, and you'd be done with it. But if it doesn't say to solve for y equals mx plus b, this would be an acceptable answer. Alright, so then a reminder on parallel versus perpendicular. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if you took this equation right here, solved it for y, so that you could take this slope of 2/3 out of it, that's kind of what we're doing. We're stealing this 2/3 and using it to build a different equation. So for you, since this says find the equation, it doesn't say what kind of equation. So just to be done with this real easily, we go y minus negative 1 equals, we need a slope of 2/3 since this is parallel. We just say right here, and then x minus 2, we're done. We don't have to solve for y. We could if we wanted to, but we don't have to because this is full credit. So then for part C, perpendicular, it's the same exact equation here. So we know the slope is 2/3. So our slope that we want is going to be negative 3/2 since it's perpendicular. It's a 90-degree angle. So you can just write y plus 1 equals opposite reciprocal slope x minus 2, and we're done. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to solve it for slope intercept form. You're just done. Alright, I'll do a little bit of 29. It says create a linear equation for the first 20 minutes. So if you look at this says the graph shows the rate in liters per minute at which water is being pumped into a tank during a 55-minute period. So it starts at minute 0, ends at minute 55, and this is the rates which are kind of changing all throughout the problem. So it says create the linear equation for the first 20 minutes. So this is what you are trying to build an equation for. So you need two things. You need the slope and you need the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 10. The slope is, well, you have 2 points, so you just do a rise. That's up 20 over, so it's up 20 liters per minute. And then from 0 minutes to 20 minutes, that's 20. So it's up 20 over 20. Your slope is 1. And then you've got it. Y equals just mx plus b, or 1x plus 10. So it's much easier to have this one in slope-intercept form than point slope for this particular problem. But point slope would also be acceptable. Then it says use your equation to find r of 10. So all you would have to do here is to plug in 10 in for the x right here. So it'd just be 10 times 1 plus 10 or R of 10 would equal 20. And that would be liters per minute. Alright, so to also kind of brush you up on how to find points of intersection of two graphs without a calculator, what you'd have to do here, I just did like a little quick sketch. So like this parabola kind of represents the x squared. This 6 minus x, you've got a slope of -1 and a y-intercept of 6. So I did a quick sketch here. So you can kind of see it's going to intersect over here and over here. So to find those two values, what you'd have to do is just set these two functions equal to each other. And how we did on the previous video, when you solve an equation, you get everything to one side and set this thing equal to 0. So add the x to the left, subtract the 6 to the left, get that to equal 0. And hopefully, if this is a whole number answer, it should factor. So you've got 6, it's either going to be 3, 2 or 6, 1. Should be a 3, 2. And we need a plus here, a minus here. And you've got two answers, x equals -3 and x equals 2. So intersects right here at 2, intersects over here at -3. And we could even find out what the y coordinates of those are if we had to. Since it says x comma y, it would be at 2 comma, well, I can plug it into either one of these. 6 minus 2 is 4, or 2 squared is 4. So they intersect at the 2, 4 right here. And at -3, if I plug that into either equation, it shouldn't matter. -3 squared is 9, or 6 minus -3 is 9. So that is my other point of intersection right here.